Please introduce yourself and share more about your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Tristan. I'm the founder of a company called Decen Space, and we're focused on addressing like the challenges that exist as we're scaling up our presence in orbit here on Earth. So specifically in the area of communications is what we focus on, and focusing on that infrastructure that supports communications networks from space to Earth.
What breakthroughs made you believe ground station capacity could be radically increased and monetized?
So it really started with understanding that there was a problem in the first place, that yes, people are trying to get all this data from space to Earth. It's relatively expensive to do that. There's a lot of different avenues that people take to address this challenge through looking at things like optical communications, higher frequency RF communications, how you manage different communications networks given the limited spectrum that you have to use. And so this creates a lot of different challenges, and we've found that there's a lot of challenges on the ground side with acquiring the right resources that are needed for getting the communications done, and especially as we grow the space economy to do things in a way that's economical and supporting the development of a robust space market. And I mean, that's really what made me like realize this. And I started talking to some ground station operators, satellite operators, and started realizing even to like a certain extent how much capacity is actually going unused. And so what we really want to focus on is how can we increase the utilization of ground assets by better matching the needs of satellite operators to the ground station operators and providers.
There are 80 million hours of unused satellite data annually. What's the number one reason this capacity is wasted, and how do you fix it?
So I think, yeah, one big thing is really matching the supply and the demand. And so like there is an increasing demand for the ground services, and especially for the time on antennas for being able to communicate. So one of the big things that we're focused on is lowering the time that you're able to go from having these mission requirements for your communications to accessing the like required ground stations. So this is really looking at the regulatory processes and how we can streamline the process for getting those approvals in the territories that are needed. Working with the ground stations on streamlining onboarding from the satellite operator to the ground station provider, and then focusing on utilizing better the underutilized or unlisted capacity that exists. So some of this is just like a matching game, essentially.
You're turning indie ground station time into revenue. What's the Airbnb moment for your business?
So really what we're looking at is people who have ground stations that are not using them enough. So we want to make it as easy as Airbnb, easy as like an Uber for booking time on these ground stations, on getting data from space. We see in the future it's going to require very robust networking strategies and coordination between ground and the spacecraft to get that data from the spacecraft to Earth, whether it's through a relay network, whether it's directly going from space to ground. And we want it to be as simple, straightforward, and honestly, like you don't have to think a lot about going on and like booking an Airbnb. Sometimes you spend time looking at all the features you want, but we want to provide that platform where you can do that and you can think, oh, I need to get data right now. How can I do this really quickly? And then we just can help facilitate that as easy as just clicking a few buttons on an app.
How does your automated scheduling and matching work, and what utilization lift can customers expect?
Yeah, so what we really focus on is delivering that easy that accessibility that you find on some of the apps, kind of like we were just talking about with an Airbnb, where what we're working on with our core technology is to focus on how we can best utilize the ground stations that are in our network and drive traffic to those stations so that they're earning like revenue that they want to be seeing, and also we're alleviating a lot of the burden on the customer side. So we take the information that's provided, and then we have an algorithm that's best matching it with what's suited for them.
What's the biggest friction that prevents operators from joining an open access marketplace today?
So right now, like the biggest issue is regulatory. So this is a really big challenge. Like you're going to be dealing with different requirements and different jurisdictions, and really having an easy way to balance and understand this is one of our biggest focuses is making this a lot easier of a process. Of course, it's always challenging to work with governments and set up processes with governments, but this is something that has to be done. Like it's these hard challenges have to be undertaken and at least minimized to make it as easy as a process as possible for all the parties involved. So we're focusing on decreasing the friction with the regulatory process, and that's a very big challenge. And then on top of that, we're making it even easier than ever to integrate with existing your existing satellites that are in orbit, even or unlaunched satellites with the ground station operators who can best service those.
Why now? What changed technologically, commercially, that enables this model today?
So really, we're seeing this explosion of satellites and capability into orbit. So right now, there's 15,000 satellites in orbit. 500 as of 20 November 2025. When we're recording this, it could be a lot more when somebody listens or watches, of course. But right now, about 5,000 of those are Starlink satellites, more or less, and that's pretty significant. But we're seeing with these developing launch capabilities, especially with like launch vehicles like Starship, like that's going to be completely game changing for getting mass into orbit. And the more opportunities that people have at a lower cost, like there's already a pretty big backlog of satellites that need to go into orbit. And so if we can alleviate that backlog and provide more opportunities and provide more of these like this market in space, this is increasing the demand for communications. Every single device we put into space has to be able to communicate with Earth in some way, shape, or form. And this is not going to be some simple network. It's going to be a complex network, but people usually don't want to deal with complexity. So what we're focused on right now is abstracting away and efficiently managing that complexity through our platform, which is going to be an Airbnb-like platform that the user can just get to the things that they need, supply the information, and then they don't have to think too much about anything else. It should be as easy as like having a phone provider. You don't think too much about all of the antennas that you're connecting to, uh, but it's a very complex network that's managed behind the scenes, and so that's what we want to be for the space industry.
And how would you fit into the existing ground station ecosystem? Let's dive deeper.
Yeah, so one of the big things about where we fit into the existing ecosystem is we want to really maximize the utilization of the existing ecosystem. So we want to see all of these companies' antennas be used as optimally and as much as possible. And we want to provide also the mechanism to provide the capacity that's not like currently accessible through different types of antennas, through making them more and more useful.
You're planning community-owned stations. How could this democratize access in emerging markets?
Yeah, so one of the big things we're focused on is these capital expenses that are involved for specific stations where people want to set up and create ground stations. So what we're working on right now is we're working on a model that is going to really provide mechanisms for people to directly invest in an asset itself. You can think of it as kind of like a GoFundMe, but there's a little bit more of a payout for what you're funding. And so that's what we're working on, the regulatory side of that, the exact dynamics of how these types of ownership shares would work. But we really want to focus on providing a way of really democratizing the ownership of space assets. So this is something, yeah, we've explored a few things in terms of blockchain side. We've like reviewed a few things as far as like legal structure models for owning and operating the ground stations. And there's a lot of complexity to it, but it's definitely achievable. And we really want to see a world where everybody could own a piece of a ground station or own a piece of a satellite. This would be really cool if you could like open up your phone and be like, "Oh, I own a piece of this satellite, and I'm making money off of it because it's taking images, and we get a small portion of the revenue." So this is something that we think is a really cool idea that we're currently working with legal and regulatory bodies on how we structure this best.
Amazing. What's the most misunderstood piece of satellite downlink problem?
Oof.
Bit
I
of a
would
tough one there.
say,
Yeah.
what?
Bit of a tough one there.
It is a tough one. I think there's a few. So I would say it's not one thing is it's not as easy as just building a new antenna or building a new telescope or laser. There's a lot of things that you have to be considering with the technology itself. So this is, I think, one of the misunderstood things is actually like managing the exact routing of data via some radio wave is very, very complicated and very complex. Um, and unfortunately, there's no simple solution like attach a laser to your satellite and it's going to be able to transmit all the data down or relay the data down. It's unfortunately not that simple. You have to worry about pointing accuracy, power budget, all sorts of requirements on the spacecraft itself, which have to always be evaluated by the mission provider. So there's always going to be some type of complex network of of how we get the data from stations. Of course, there's technology that's going in place. I think like phased array technology is going to be huge. That's a really big one. As we develop some of the optical communications technology, I think that's going to also be really big. But right now, like what we really want to focus, like just to bring back to what we're doing, is how do we use and leverage the existing infrastructure on Earth and make it more useful? How can we like sustainably build support for these operations? And yeah, that's I think it's a yeah, it's a very interesting industry, I would say.
You plan to scale to 30 commercial stations by 2027. What must be true to reach profitability?
So the core thing that must be true to reach profitability is that we focus on the customer and what the customer needs. We focus on delivering exactly the services with our partner stations and network, while also delivering to those partner stations and network the capacity to expand their own networks through our unique hardware technology that we're using to make more to create more opportunities for getting data from space.
If your tech never touched space, which Earth industries benefit from your scheduling and routing architecture?
So yeah, I would say the telecom industry is the biggest one. So just terrestrial networks. There could be use cases for our routing technology and software for terrestrial networks, really for any type of antenna use cases.
And we'll do maybe an extra innings question here, kind of Geordie LaForge moment of why should consumers care about space, care about what you're working on?
So everybody's dependent on it. That's the thing. So it's like we all are dependent on our phones. You know, we've been putting up satellites now. The very first reason for commercial satellites was for communications purposes. Communications underlies everything that we do. The reason that we can have this conversation right now is because of the complex network of the internet that's allowing us to do this at a distance. I don't have to come across the ocean to do a podcast. We can do this while I'm in Europe, you're in North America, and we can do these podcasts, or even if we were in different parts. It's really amazing how this works. There's tens of millions of people who are still driving and using satellite radio, even. So you have Sirius XM in your car, you're using satellite technology.
I am a
You're using
subscriber as
GPS.
well.
Yeah, and that's coming from satellites. You're using your GPS. That's all coming from satellites. There's so much data that's impacting our day-to-day lives, whether it's what we're listening to in our car, how we're getting to the place we want to go in the car, or how we're like even like talking to people. Now we're seeing more of this rise in direct-to-device transmissions. So like Starlink is supporting that. Apple has invested heavily in this type of technology. You're seeing a lot of these providers are focusing on the satellite constellations. They're going to be providing direct to device connectivity, and that will be your device connecting to a satellite that's orbiting in space. So this is something that's impacting how every single person is communicating. More people are using Starlink now than ever. So a lot of people are like, I was on a meeting with somebody the other day, and they were working from some castle in
Wow.
Czechia, and I was like, that's a nice background. It's a real,
It's a real
but
background.
but
It's a real
but it's
castle.
possible because you can use Starlink, and I think that's just like this is such a cool world to be living in where you can go anywhere and you have connectivity. And what we're working on is we're working to enable this for everybody to have really these amazing services. And as we go into the future, we're seeing the importance, like right now, a really hot topic is these orbital data centers. Um, so like, Star Cloud, they launched their first one they like a week ago or two, I think a week ago. And then you're seeing more and more people, I think like every major company has now talked about doing these orbital data centers from Jeff Bezos from Amazon. I think like Nvidia has now posted their
Mhm.
video. I mean, Elon Musk has talked about it. Like, I think everybody has
Everyone's
thought
in the
now or
game
talked
now.
about it. Yeah, yeah. We've got trillions of dollars of market representation now thinking about the orbital data centers. Just like from globally, like companies and countries even are considering this and thinking about this now because yeah, that's like a really big important use case. And how do we, if we have that much data in space, it's going to take a lot of capacity and bandwidth to get that data to Earth, going from Earth to space. And these are things we have to be thinking about as we build this economy. That's going to be very useful and I think beneficial for humankind is going to be our access to this resource beyond the planet. So yeah, I mean, a little bit of a long answer, but I very much think um, that there's so much that we have right now and that we're building for the future that's going to be so beneficial, and all of it is underlined by our ability to communicate.
Why does space matter?
Space matters because it gives us hope. It gives us something to dream and look forward to. It gives us opportunities to create a better life on Earth through being able to do things that we can't do on Earth. The perspective that space gives us is something that we can be very reflective and self reflective of. And I think ultimately this is something that leads to a more peaceful and brighter future for humanity is when we have that perspective of space and being able to know where we are and being able to also take advantage of the fact that we live in a world where we have space accessible now. We can develop new medicines in space to help with the diseases that we face on Earth. We can build technology in space so we don't destroy the planet. And we can use space as and eventually I would like to see space as a destination that everybody can go to and get the perspective that so many astronauts share or people who've gone to space share of that amazing view of like seeing Earth, seeing the nothingness, and just thinking about our place in the universe. I think these are all things that are going to make the world a better and more peaceful place.
Final lightning question, the Geordie LaForge question. Do you have a favorite Star Trek?
A favorite Star Trek? Um,
TNG, the original.
so,
Deep Space.
well, the original is the main one that I've watched. So the original, I know I still need to watch TNG. It's on my list. It's on my list to watch all TNG.
You've got to get that on your list. Yeah, you got
Yes,
to get that done. Maybe
I've got to get it
when
done.
you're one of your flights, you know, to one of your conferences, maybe
It's not
fire
enough
that up.
time. It's a very long flight. How long of flying time to watch all of
Yeah, that's a good question.
TNG?
You're gonna need a few
How
years,
many
I guess.
times can you fly around the world? You would probably make a whole trip to Mars
Yeah,
and watch the entirety.
you could. That would actually be
Yeah,
quite refreshing. It could be quite exciting. A little
6 to 9 months.
popcorn,
Yeah.
some Fanta.
Actually, that would be it. Actually, that's not a bad activity to pass the time going to Mars.
Love
Watch
it.
TNG.
We'll have to tweet that out and see if Elon and others will pick up on that in-flight movie.
Yeah, the TNG.
And then final question, anything that you want to say to our listeners, scientists, engineers, founders, investors, my mother, folks that are listening to today's episode.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is keep dreaming. Let's make the future happen. Let's get to space. Let's turn space into a vibrant economy that everybody can take part in. And it's going to take every single person putting effort into this, from yeah, the scientists, engineers, investors, founders, um, and even like your mother. And every single human on Earth has a part to play in this. Whether it's voting for the politicians that are going to make a difference, being vocal about their support for this type of technology, and understanding how it benefits life on Earth, and then also being financing companies to build the technology. Of course, I have a vested interest in this. But also for getting the science done and getting the engineering work done. This is, I mean, like literally every single person on this planet has a part to play in it, and I think it's just, yeah, just don't stop dreaming is the main thing.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Look forward to more conversations with you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Likewise. Thank you, Jason.